From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, Hannah Mordeau here. This is your News 8 Daily for Tuesday, October 14th. The weather shaping up to be a great day ahead. We're cool right now, 55 degrees-ish, but we're going to warm up as the day goes on. Mostly sunny skies out there. Temps will get up to the upper 70s, could even hit 80s today. New on Daybreak, online court records show a special judge has issued an arrest warrant for Johnson County Coroner Mike Pruitt over allegations that he stalked and gave alcohol to a 17-year-old. As News 8 reported last week, a special prosecutor charged Pruitt with a total of 14 misdemeanor counts, including contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Pruitt is 58 years old. He resigned as deputy chief of the Bargersville Fire Department after the allegations came to light. He was also previously a spokesperson for the Wayne Township Fire Department and Indiana Task Force 1. New on Daybreak, Horseshoe Casino in Shelbyville faces a strike. The Teamsters say dealers want to unionize and have authorized a strike to force the company to recognize it. According to a statement this morning from Local 135 in Indianapolis, the workers will talk this morning about next steps. The union says the strike would involve more than 200 employees, table game dealers, and what are known as dual rate dealers, who handles the games on the floor and supervision. The union says the National Labor Relations Board canceled a union authorization vote set for Friday due to the government shutdown and says Horseshoe refused to use a third party to supervise the election. Casino leaders have not responded yet publicly to the strike threat. We're working to find out more this morning about the person killed when a school bus hit them in Tippecanoe County. It happened yesterday afternoon on State Road 43, just north of I-65 in West Lafayette. State police say the person was walking across 43 to get from one gas station to another, and the bus struck them. Police say no students were on the bus at the time, and the driver is not hurt. The coroner has not yet released the name of the person killed. Dozens of people who live in the Martindale-Brightwood neighborhood in Indianapolis say they do not want a new data center there. The issue prompted a demonstration Monday at 25th and Sherman, where the Sherman Drive-In long stood. That's where the company MetroBlock says it wants to build its center. Supporters say it will bring jobs and investments to the neighborhood. Those at last night's protest, though, say there are better ways to build up the area.
Y'all could have built a plaza. Y'all could have built a Kroger's. Y'all could have built a better food market for us, a better plaza for anything. Why build a building that's going to kill a lot of us in the long run?
The plan still has to go through the city-county government. No word yet on when public hearings could start. Plans of a Westside Indianapolis church are not going over well with some of its neighbors. The plan involves new, tiny homes. They would be built near the church on Lyndhurst Drive near West Morris Street. News 8's Kat Sandoval spoke to people for and against the idea.
And so for several years, we purchased this property a while back with the idea, not knowing how, that somehow it was going to serve that community. And so we've been waiting for the right partnership, the right time, and we believe it's now.
Lyndhurst Baptist Church, along with nonprofit Sanctuary Indy, are developing the church's land into a homeless housing community. They'll start with 6 tiny homes for singles and couples and eventually expand to 10 duplexes for families. For the tiny house, each are 350 square feet with a full bathroom, bedroom, kitchenette, and a front porch. And it will be open to homeless people with a diagnosed disability in Indianapolis.
Our mission is to be able to help individuals who are unable to currently care for themselves, but our vision is to get us to a place in our city where we no longer have to see individuals die outside.
Sanctuary Indy says the candidates will not have a history of violence and will not be a registered sex offender. Still, Ramona Ward is against the project. She has lived in the area for nearly 60 years, and she's worried that the homes will perpetuate additional crime in the area.
And I don't like the idea that it's not going to be like a curfew, like they can go 24 hours a day in and out.
The organization says the community will be gated and there will be few missionaries living in the community as resources for residents. James Shuddy wants the project to work, but he's concerned for the safety, particularly of the kids in the daycare next door.
And they're going to be able to come and go as they please, but they need to make sure they're not bringing stuff into the premises that shouldn't be brought into the premises, and that's what I'm concerned about right now.
The tiny homes already received city zone approval, but the church and nonprofit are looking to get the Department of Metropolitan Development approval for the duplexes at this Wednesday's meeting. The church and the organization says this isn't just about houses, but they are planning on building community around the residents, like job resources and mental health services. I'm Kat Sandoval for Wish TV, wishtv.com.
The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is in effect. While key details of the plan still need to be worked out, Jewish people here in Indiana are feeling a sense of relief. 20 living Israeli hostages were released Monday after more than 2 years in captivity. The head of the Jewish Federation of Greater Indianapolis tells us that he hopes this is the end of a long struggle that people here have felt deeply.
This is not some war that happened far, far away and, that we're only seeing on the news. Israel and the Jewish community here in Indianapolis are closely tied together. These are our friends, these are our family members, these are people for whom we feel a tremendous affinity.
The Jewish Federation says its event this week, marking 2 years since the October 7th attack, is now changing to a program called Marking This Moment. It will now be held at the Jewish Community Center on Thursday at 7 p.m. As Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners return home, there are many emotional reunions. The Israeli government released video of several hostages reconnecting with loved ones for the first time in 2 years. Jeremy Diamond has more of these moments as families reunited in Israel and Gaza.
Two years of pent-up anguish unleashed in an instant. One after another, 20 newly freed hostages and their families hug, cry, kiss, scream, and pray, reveling in their new, almost unbelievable reality. Their nightmare is finally over. These moments were never guaranteed. When Bar Cooperstein was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival, his father was still paralyzed. He vowed he would embrace his son again on his own 2 feet. For Einav Tsengaker, who became an icon in the hostage families' protest movement, this is the culmination of a relentless fight. Israel's national nightmare is also now finally over. After 738 days, every single living hostage is now free. The open wounds that has been October 7th can now finally begin to heal. For the hostages, the journey to freedom began in Red Cross vehicles flanked by masked Hamas militants. An Israeli convoy completed the trip to a military base near Gaza, where hundreds of Israelis lined the route.
This liftoff is a moment more than 2 years in the making. Some of the last living Israeli hostages getting their own taste of freedom.
Newfound freedom filled with moments that seemed frighteningly out of reach just weeks ago, like 2 former hostages embracing for the first time in years. It was an emotional day in Gaza, too, where more than 1,700 Palestinians detained without charge were finally freed. Tears of joy and questions answered after months in the dark about their loved one's fate. Thank God for this blessing, this woman says, reuniting with her husband. It's my birthday today, he says, tearing up. It's an indescribable feeling being here next to my wife. The Israelis may have destroyed Gaza, but they can't destroy us. In the occupied West Bank, dozens of Palestinian prisoners serving long-term sentences also received a hero's welcome. They are among 250 high-security prisoners released as part of the deal, most of them tied to deadly attacks on Israelis. For the Miran family and most Israelis, a price well worth paying. To make families whole again and give 2 little girls their father back after 2 long years. Jeremy Diamond, CNN, Re'im, Israel.
Happening today, the U.S. Senate gets back to work as the federal government enters the 14th day of the shutdown. The other chamber of Congress is poised to remain quiet. The House has passed a spending plan, and Speaker Mike Johnson says he will not bring representatives back to revisit it unless Democrats drop demands to extend health care tax credits.
We're barreling toward one of the longest shutdowns in American history unless Democrats drop their partisan demands and pass a clean, no-strings-attached budget to reopen the government and pay our federal workers.
We need them to stand strong because this is important to our families, and they're standing up for families right now, and that's very important. We also need them to get the health care costs lowered.
No word yet if the Senate will try to vote today on the U.S. House plan. So far, Republicans have not gotten enough support from Democrats to pass it. Let's get to your business headlines with Jane King. She starts with an interesting item about Indiana and a very specific kind of job.
So Indianapolis, in fact, leads the nation in hotel manager job openings, beating out big tourist areas like Chicago, Las Vegas, and Miami. Now, Oysterlink says the surge comes as the city has a growing role in conventions and sports and business travel. Indianapolis had 107 openings for hotel managers in the most recent report, just ahead of Austin, Texas. Now, when it comes to job scams, Indiana ranks in the bottom 20 of states. So, some good news there. Privacy Journal analyzed data from the Federal Trade Commission and said Indiana had 213 reports per million people. That was the 38th highest. It was, though, 21% growth since 2022. Now, job scammers are often targeting residents in states with high populations and high unemployment rates. At Amazon, gearing up for the holidays with the plan to hire 250,000 workers across the U.S. The workers will be for the delivery and warehouse network. It's looking for full-time, part-time, and seasonal roles, and positions will be posted weekly through December. Amazon employs more than 26,000 people already in Indiana. And inflation is a top concern for restaurants, and they are passing the higher costs to diners. So prices of things like coffee and burgers continue to rise. That's according to financial company Toast. Now, nearly half of restaurants plan to raise menu prices further if inflation persists. Well, the Dow rebounded from that sharp sell-off we saw on Friday, so up 600 points yesterday. But the China trade tensions have resurfaced this morning. This time it has to do with the shipbuilding industry, both here in the U.S. and China. So that's weighing on markets this morning. The Dow's pointing down more than 300. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
In Colts Watch, questions at quarterback could get answers today. Backup Anthony Richardson is out for at least a month, and Coach Shane Steichen says the front office is deciding what to do with him. Richardson suffered a bizarre eye injury before Sunday's game. The team says something snapped as he was working out with exercise bands and broke a bone around his eye. He's now on the injured reserve, ruling him out for the next 4 games. Steichen said yesterday that he and the front office hope to have answers within 24 hours about whether Riley Leonard would remain the primary backup or if the team would bring in someone else. Pacers watch. The team falls to the Spurs in preseason play at Gainbridge Fieldhouse 124-108. Some shining moments, though. In the second quarter last night, Obi Toppin got a steal, passed it up the court to Benedict Mathurin, who takes a slam dunk. Mathurin led the Pacers with 31 points. They take on the Spurs again Friday away. And then next week, Thursday, the regular season begins. Oklahoma City Thunder coming back to Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Thursday next week for a rematch of the NBA Finals. Coroner in eastern Indiana's Fayette County is releasing new details about a remarkable discovery. Researchers say a skull found along the White River is approximately 4,270 years old. That would date back to 2300 BC. Coroner's office says the discovery happened in June. Since then, researchers at the University of Indianapolis and the University of Georgia have worked just to figure out how old the skull is. Coroner's office acknowledged yesterday's Indigenous Peoples Day in the announcement and pledged to work with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources to decide how to care for the remains in the site. One of Central Indiana's best-known Halloween celebrations opens soon. The Irvington Halloween Festival is back for its 79th year. News 8's Colin Bailey went to Irvington and says the fun starts this weekend.
October 18th to the 25th, you mentioned it, the 79th annual Halloween Festival here in Irvington. I have 2 special guests. Carrie Zell, I'll start with you, Carrie. You have the sweatshirt on for this year. That thing is awesome. Talk about, though, this festival. It's a week long, about 80,000 plus people are going to be here in Irvington celebrating Halloween.
Yeah, definitely. So it kicks off on the 18th, this Saturday, which is hours away at this point, with a wellness fair, followed by the ball, which is held right here in the lodge. It's a very Wicked-themed ball, so not to spoil anything, but it'll be lots of fun. Then we'll have an art auction on Monday. We'll have scary stories on Tuesday, family movie on Wednesday, Spooky Stories Thursday, zombie bike ride, and then it will all end with the big street fair next Saturday, the 25th, where we will just shut down Washington Street and have a party.
And that's where we're at. We're off Washington Street right now. Adam Hampton, you were with us earlier this morning. Talk about this, though, and kind of the impact it makes on the neighborhood. The whole neighborhood transformed into just Halloween town almost.
It does. It's such a huge economic booster for all of our small businesses here in Irvington. But what makes it so unique is that everyone gets involved, from the neighbors decorating their houses to the small business owners getting their employees hyped and excited to be here. We're going to have 80,000 guests here. That's huge for our small community on the east side, and we're so grateful and fortunate that we're going to celebrate our 79th Halloween Festival right here on the east side.
Talk about this. The road's going to be shut down on the 25th, that day of the street festival. There's going to be hundreds of vendors out here.
Yeah, we're going to have approximately 600 vendors, artists, crafts, food vendors. There's going to be vendors all throughout at the Lodge, Washington Street, Bon and Audubon. Tons of fun.
Carrie, what's your favorite part of this? Obviously, it's a week long of events, culminates with the street festival, and obviously, it leads right into Halloween.
It sure does. Personally, my favorite, and we've been planning for an entire year, is honestly the street fair. I know that's what everybody's known for, but we've got our small neighborhood activities throughout the week, but just the electricity and, you know, to Adam's point, with all the businesses and all of the vendors and things, just the morning of the street fair it's so cool. It's so unique to the neighborhood and something I look forward to every year.
Well, thanks for joining us, both of you. I appreciate it. October 18th to the 25th, 79th Annual Halloween Festival right here in Irvington. For now, here on the east side, I'm Colin Bailey for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
A pumpkin weighing 2,346 pounds is victorious at the World Championship Pumpkin Weigh-Off in California. For perspective, that's about the size of a small sedan. Contest says a California engineer and gardening enthusiast grew the pumpkin. He gets $20,000 for winning. His pumpkin, though, is still off a few hundred pounds from being the largest ever. The world record was set earlier this month, weighing a whopping 2,819 pounds. There are big pumpkins here, too, according to Indiana Pumpkin Growers Association. Bloomington Man won the National Pumpkin Weigh-Off in Ohio 2 years ago. His weighed 2,054 pounds. This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at WishTV.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.